Welcome to the Caregiver Connection Training Series. My name is Heather Matlock, and I am a consultant with the Patent Autism Initiative. I'm also a parent to a school-age child with autism spectrum disorder. If you're just joining me for the first time, I highly encourage you to go back and watch the 5 episodes from the first module because we really built a foundation for teaching any skill in general to your child. Now, in this module, we're specifically going to look at how to discuss how to teach your child social communicative skills. And before you can begin to teach communication, it may be necessary to determine how your child's going to communicate. So I'm so excited today to have with me Jamie Baker. She's a speech and language pathologist, and she's going to be discussing response forms. So thanks for sharing your expertise. First off, what is a response form?
So when we talk about response form, the first thing we're going to talk about is the term form. Form refers to what the child or individual does. So a response form is how the child individual will respond when communicating. We want to select a response form before teaching the student responses for communication.
All right, I'm going to preview one of the terms that she's going to be discussing when she talks about echoic behavior. What that simply means is, does your child have the ability to echo, or in other words, repeat back what you say? So if I gave my child a vocal model by saying cup, could I reliably get them to repeat me and they would say cup? So it's just like a parrot. Or they can also say some close approximation such as cuppa or ka or Now, echoic behavior, or being able to repeat back what someone else says, is an essential skill for teaching any type of vocal communication. If your child can't yet echo, they might have vocal communication, but they don't have echoic behavior. Or if they try to echo, but it's largely difficult for others to understand. So it doesn't sound anything like what you said. When you said cup, they said in that case, they can still learn to communicate. You just may need to consider other options, at least temporarily. So now let's look at some of those options as well as considerations for each.
Some common types of response forms. We're going to discuss some of the common types of response forms that are selected for individuals as they're developing language and why we consider them. First, let's talk about vocalizations. We always want to consider vocalizations first. Why do we want to consider them first? Because that is how most of the population communicates, but realistically, that may not be the case for some children. Vocalizations may not be intelligible, they may not have echoic behavior, and it's difficult to get any type of echoic behavior at the time. If that is the case, we may rule out vocalizations. If we rule out vocalizations as the response form, we can look at some of the other options on this slide. Next is sign. So after vocalizations have been considered and rolled out, we look at sign. Why? Many of the children have no effective, appropriate means of communicating, and signs give them a quick and easy response form they can use to communicate their most basic wants and needs. This may decrease problem behavior, as some children may often resort to problem behavior because they have no other way to communicate. Signs can be modified and are an easy, efficient way to get basic communication going that may replace problem behavior. If children have gross or fine motor deficits, sign may not be an appropriate response form to choose. Additionally, if a child does not have strong imitation skills to learn new signs, this could be a reason why signs are not considered or rolled out as a response form. Next, we're going to talk about picture exchange. This is a response form to consider when vocalizations are not occurring or are and unintelligible, and signs have been ruled out. Picture exchange involves a child giving a picture of an item to communicate a want and need. It can be also consisting of a student pointing to a picture of the item and instead of exchanging it, showing that picture to the listener. Then we also have augmentative devices. Augmentative devices often have the speech output device in which student selects or pushes an icon on a screen and the device speaks that item. Finally, we're going to talk about typing. Typing is an option to consider when individuals can utilize a keyboard and have the ability to spell. If this is the case, using a typing app on an augmentative device with an output would be with a voice output would be a great response form. It is easy for the listeners to understand, and the individual is not limited to the icons pictures loaded into the augmentative device. When just talking about some of the common types of response forms, we want to really consider the following. First, we want to consider when choosing or selecting a response form that we're looking at the ease of responses. And if vocalizations are not an option, how portable is the response form? We also want to make sure that the response form is understood by a community of speakers and listeners, and it doesn't interfere with the pace or flow of interaction between the listener and the speaker. And we also want to consider the child's needs. And finally, we don't ever want to give up on attempting to teach vocalizations and attempting to utilize echoic behavior to increase vocalizations. Oftentimes, some individuals or children, as they're learning language, will begin to use sign, picture exchange, or an augmentative device. But as vocals develop and echoic behavior develops, their response form may change. We never want to give up on teaching those vocalizations.
All right. Thank you so much, Jamie, for enlightening us on response forms. I think it's a lot like buying a new car. I mean, after all, a response form is really just kind of a vehicle for getting your wants and your needs and your thoughts and your ideas across to other people. There's a lot of options out there. It's a big decision. Your child's going to have to use it every day, and it's going to have to get them where they need to go and has to meet all of their needs for communication, not only right now, but for as long as they're going to be able to use this. Just as you would with a car, you probably wouldn't say, oh, this one looks nice. I'm going to go with, X, Y, Z. You're probably going to want to research it and even do a test drive before you make a commitment. So to learn more about augmentative alternative communication, or AAC, visit patent.net/evidence-based practices/assistive technology. You can find out a lot more information there, as well as kind of look at some of the different options that are out there. All right, lastly, just remember that giving your child a way to communicate, it is really life-changing, and it can lead to increased opportunities for independence. But just giving them the keys doesn't mean they're going to know how to drive the car, right? So regardless of the response form that is selected, there's procedures for teaching it. And if you learn those procedures, you can really maximize your child's success. So a special thanks to Jamie Baker for contributing her expertise to this episode. Don't forget to check out the resource collection pinned in the comments for more information on AAC, as well as tons of other resources. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss an episode. Join me next time as we take it from form to function.